All right. So thank you all for coming. We wanted to take a few minutes tonight to address some concerns that were sent out and to talk about some schedule changes that are going to be happening for West Valley, and give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions that you've got, and so that we all feel comfortable with what's going to happen. So as you know, a couple months ago, we had, based on the information that we had at the time, which involved more than just the event. It also involved restrictions we were hearing from schools about travel, costs for travel. Teams who had to travel were only going to, there were many districts at the time saying 1 student per bed, so you can have 2 kids in 1 room, or even 1 kid per room. So there was a lot of weird stuff kind of all going on. And so Adrienne and I talk a lot about all of this stuff. This has been an exceptionally hard year to plan things for Adrienne, and she's very, very thoughtful about all of these things. And she calls me. She's the only person who can actually call me before 9:30 a.m. My phone won't let anybody else through. So when she calls, it's usually, uh-oh. If she calls at 7:50, I know that it's going to be a really iffy bad thing. If it's 8:05, it's going to be a happy phone call. So just in case, you know, there is a window there. When we originally did the one-day plan, it was we were trying to take into account the fact that with 16 or 17 teams, not much play was going to happen, plus a bunch of other stuff, other information that we were being doused with, and we were trying really hard to keep West Valley a viable event. And because first sort of wanted us to take West Valley and merge it with Sundome. And we fought really hard to make sure that we had 2 events in Eastern Washington, because we think that that's the fair way to allocate our resources around the state. So, and FRC has actually been great to work with. I've talked for hours about this with Frank and Frank Merrick, and so we ended up with that one-day schedule that we shared with you earlier. Part of it was there isn't a whole lot of gameplay time required when you have 16 teams. Part of it was travel. Part of it was a bunch of other things. We made that decision a while ago. Things have updated, things have changed. Plus, we got a lot of feedback from teams who have very, very valid points. And these are all the points that everybody brought up. We did consider, and it was part of the decision matrix. At the time, we feel like we made a good decision. We're happy to go the other way. So I want to share with you the change that we're anticipating. You can see my screen, I assume. So we are going to take West Valley and make it into a 2-day event, and stretch things out a little bit so it won't be intense. And as many of you have pointed out, you know, we've run lots of small events and they move really fast, and we get it. We understood that when we made the original schedule. We're happy to go this way now that more is known about travel plans and all the rest of that stuff coming up. So we wanted to let everybody know that we have switched it from a 1-day event to a 2-day event. So Friday, so we will be setting up, we'll be there to set up, by the way, Eric, on Thursday. March 31st.
Yeah.
Normal time. Yep. And so pits will open at 8 a.m. on Friday. We don't actually anticipate needing to do opening ceremonies until 1 p.m. And so there'll be time for practice rounds in the morning. There currently are 17 teams scheduled to be at West Valley. And then from 1:15 to about 5:30, we're going to do qualification matches. And we talked with our FTA. We looked at how the scheduling sort of works out. And we also looked at what is sort of the approximate amount of time at a larger event, like a normal sized event. And so we felt that doing a 15-minute break for everybody after every 2 rounds gets you about the same pace of play, even though we admit that there are going to be some back-to-back things. That adds about an hour of play so it sort of pads the schedule by at least an hour on Friday. There will be probably some extra time because the system puts in automatic breaks when teams are literally in back-to-back matches. And with 16 teams, there are going to be some back-to-back matches. So please don't hold us exactly to 5:30 or 6 o'clock. We won't know the precise schedule until we generate it with the computer. It's randomized, could fluctuate a little bit. So please don't make dinner reservations for 6:15. Appreciate that. Okay, and then the next day, we will run basically what's a normal first, second day event. We'll have opening ceremonies between 9 and 9:30. Qualification matches. Everybody's gonna run twice, as we do with all of our other events. That turns out to only take 40 minutes when you have 16 teams, so it goes really fast. We'll do alliance selections. We'll break for lunch so that the teams that made it to the eliminations, if they need that little extra time to get their robots up and running, and then we'll do final round starting about noon. And we expect that to last less than 90 minutes. We put in if we had to run all of the matches with all the timeouts, it'd be 90 minutes. So everybody's aware, this runs starting at the semifinals and finals. So there will be 4 alliances of 3 teams, and they will play semifinals and finals. And then we'll follow that up with the award ceremony. And we expect to be out of there before 3 o'clock. Even cleaning up, I think we're out of there by 5, easy. Okay, so I'm going to pause there. You guys have any questions about this or any concerns?
I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Randy.
Kevin, you said there was going to be 4 alliances of 3 teams?
Yes.
The 4 alliances for the playoffs? Okay, that was going to be my main question.
Yeah. Naomi, did you have a question?
Yeah, if we have teams that need to or can't come because of, I don't know, exposures or whatever like that, is there, like, what happens then, I guess?
We can do this schedule down to 13 teams.
Okay.
So if we get below 13, we don't know what to do. So we are in, just so you guys realize, we're in way uncharted territory in the first world. So the district point system, I was on the committee that set that up, and we were scoffing at each other going, oh, we'll never run an event with less than 24 teams. We don't even need to consider that, right? And so but we did spend some time considering it, and there were some ideas batted around, and then we kind of left it because that was really not the plan. The plan was always going to be 32 to 40 teams for the district point system. So we've already stretched, we got into the, oh, that will never happen group already. If we get below 13 teams, I have to have a chat with Frank to figure out what to do, because the IT system doesn't do that. So please come. We have 17. I think the chances of losing more than 4 teams is small.
And we just ran 6 First Tech Challenge events this past weekend. 5 of them were in person, 1 was remote, and we did lose a handful of teams across the state to COVID. But, at max, I think we maybe lost 3. It was probably a high number for an event. And so, hopefully, and at least unless something new comes up, we should be on the tail end of Omicron. And Omicron, I feel like, is more impactful right now for the events we just ran than in the future. So who knows if there will be something new, but it wasn't super impactful with the number of teams we were losing this weekend. So, hopefully that continues into the FRC season.
And remember, everything that we're telling you right now has a big ass asterisk on the end, because I'm feeling more confident now than I felt in the past year and a half about us being able to execute the schedule. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Now, Kevin, we did have Steve asked about the district points and
yes.
qualification matches.
So the district points, that is not a decision for Adrienne and I to make. That is a decision for First and Frank Merrick. And I had a discussion with Frank. He is aware of it and working on it. They will have an answer for us. They'll make it right. He understands what it was. The verbiage that you saw in that manual was based on the discussions that I told you about, that we said, oh, this would never happen. And they will get that fixed. I believe that you will have a full set of points. Because
it doesn't make sense not to give the teams a full set of points. It just, yeah.
I've been working with Frank for 10 years now. He is immensely thoughtful and almost always comes up with a decision that's fair for the teams. And so I'm confident that he makes no snap decisions. He's got his team running through all of the math scenarios that they've got set up to test things to make sure that they don't inadvertently break something. So,
well, and I think the big test is the FMS and making sure that the FMS understands how to award those points when those matches aren't played.
Yeah.
So from talking with our FTAs, I think that's probably what they're trying to figure out as the sticking point.
Yep. So Frank, very smart man, does not say, he never says yes, even though he's thinking yes. And I believe he's thinking yes. He never says yes until he's got everything aligned and everybody knows what is supposed to happen and they test it. Then he'll say yes. So please don't worry about it. I believe that the right thing will happen. Thank you all for pointing it out. I read the rule. I saw the verbiage that we were talking about when we were doing the district's points in it. A version, but it wasn't the same words. What I read was that semifinalists would get 20 points for winning their semifinal rounds, right? But that isn't actually what the rule ended up actually saying when I went and read it again, because I thought you were all crazy. And when I read that rule again, I went, crap, that isn't what we originally said. I have no decision-making power on this one. So all I can tell you is that Frank is actively working on it. So that's what I can do for you. Any other questions about that?
So Kevin, I thought there was something in the most recent team update that talked about, and maybe this is slightly different, but it basically said that the district points would be awarded for teams that had a bye as if they had won that round.
Yeah, so there's another, in the event, and this actually was, this is actually the West Valley rule, because this became, it came into existence after West Valley in Spokane
In
had,
2020.
yeah, in 2020, the teams that get a bye is usually when you have less than 24, but more than 21 teams. They advance. It's still a quarterfinal up, but the first place alliance gets a bye. So they've automatically won their round and moved up. So the and then we only have well, so anyway, they get an automatic bye. That's what that pertains to, because that was the more common case that they were thinking about, and they weren't really thinking about the super small events. So new territory for everybody. We apologize if it is discomforting and a little bit rocky. The problem is now is known by Frank, and like I said, I trust him. He will come up with the right answer. Okay.
And Steve
How-
wanted to also hear about the Sundome. The Sundome event schedule had already changed. Just between the extra work that I had to do to make sure everybody was able to pick their kits up for kickoff, and then the fact that we were running 6 of our so far largest events of the season. I haven't sent out a team blast to notify people. But the Sundome will be a somewhat similar schedule to this competition schedule. And actually, the rule that Jim was talking about will be in play, because with the number of teams we have, the first seeded alliance will have a bye.
So this is may look somewhat familiar, but with 24 teams, we don't anticipate needing to put in buffer time for between matches, and yeah. So what we did do is we ended up starting, and again, this was part of this is trying to help people out with their travel issues. Some districts say you can spend the night, but you can't send 2. It's all over the map. We won't bore you with all the gory details. We're trying to be as accommodative to as many teams as possible. You'll notice that this event doesn't actually start until after 2. And the thinking there was that teams would be able to leave from Portland, Seattle, Spokane. You could probably avoid having to spend the night on the 17th. We were trying to help people out with travel expenses. So that's the reason that we kind of shifted this schedule like this. So we think it's
we've actually done that with pretty much all of our FRC schedules for this year. We with some of the schedules, we might open up a window and encourage local teams to maybe load in during the setup night, have like an hour window to almost do like a dump and go. There'll be no inspection, nothing, but to make sure that we don't have a bunch of congestion in the morning. We're working through that, but this is a pretty typical schedule for our events this season. They're pretty much all being cut by one day. And we think that that's gonna help the teams, especially the teams that are traveling. And with fewer teams at events, it really was necessary, because we don't need as much time in the schedule as we do for a 36, 38, 40 team event. So.
Yep. And our apologies if we didn't send this out, because again, I got a few notes about this. And what the hell are you talking about the Sundome? And now I realize that it is just, Adrienne is spread about as thin as you can spread an Adrienne. So it's our apologies for that. Just know it's just what happened. Sorry. So hopefully that makes sense. Any questions about the Sundome schedule? Questions or concerns?
And right now I'm getting, Jackie's working on actually posting all of the schedules on our website. Once we get them posted, I will be sending out a team blast and directing people to the schedules, so teams can look and see how the schedule is a little different for their events. So it might not be this week, but early next week, you should see that team blast, and people can go and check out the schedules for the various events, including district championships.
And Richard, you asked what?
Adrienne, are you going to need WAPTO to help with setup?
Of course.
Okay.
Did you have a question, Richard?
Richard was asking, are both events allowing load in on Thursday? We haven't fully decided yet. Possibly. And I'd even say it's likely it's going to be a very small window to kind of come in, set up your pit and go. The doors to the field are going to be shut. We're really trying to limit all the people in the various areas as we're doing different things. But right now, the thinking is we're going to have some sort of potentially a sign up, so we can kind of see who's come, if we offer it, who's coming that first night versus who's coming the second morning. And that's for us to have for staffing, like load in crew staffing. we would have enough. We'd have the lead robot inspector and one other robot inspector to just kind of check your additional parts and all of that. Again, allow you in. And I would recommend anybody who does load in the night before, if we offer it, it's kind of a 5-person drop and go, you know, just bring a handful of people, get your stuff in your pits, get your pit set up if you like. You know, without the bag time, some people might not want to load in the night before. They might want that time to work on their robot. So anyway, so that's in flux a bit right now. So stay tuned as we work through that.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Eric. Do you have any questions for us? I saw you on mute, so I thought you were going to ask a question. Maybe not. Okay. Well, I don't have anything else to say. Is everybody okay with this? All right. So that's going to be that's kind of our game plan for those 2 events. And we're really hoping not to need to change anything else, because we're tired of changing these schedules.
Sometimes we feel like we're in Groundhog Day, you know.
Thank you, Adrienne, for this is mind-numbing stuff. She works on it much harder than I do, and if I'm as drained as I am by doing this, I can't imagine how drained Adrienne is. So thank you, Adrienne, for doing all of this, because it's hard. There's lots and lots of details that need to be thought of, and you do an amazing job of doing that.
Well, it's a group effort.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I think I will let you all go back to your normal lives. Thank you all.
Talk to you later.